Chair, I move that the bill be amended in clause 2 as per the order paper. And this is about the interpretation, so it's more of the definition of several terms used in the bill, like attaché, the dependent child, among others. And they are all to conform with the existing laws.
Then I propose a question which is that clause 2 be part of the bill. I put the question which is that clause 2 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
And as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I put the question which is that clause 2 as amended be now part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question which is that clause 1 be part of the bill. I put the question which is that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose the question which is that the title be the title to the bill. And I put the question which is that the title be the title to the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
And as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And congratulations, members, honorable members. We have come to the end of that particular bill. So we now
Go to report.
just allow me something, a minute. What is it, the Honorable Sankok? Which one? Which gadget, Honorable Sankok?
Our gadget only went up to clause 50. So, Chair, sometimes it is good for us. I've been following keenly.
I know.
But it only went to 50. Whatever you said after 50 was, I was not following.
Yeah, probably your gadget is faulty. Mine is not.
No.
I'm trying to see which gadget are we talking about now?
No.
Well, I'm told I should use the phone, but this gadget,
Okay.
this one,
Well,
these machines. Is it called a laptop?
At least you
Or iPad?
sorry.
Lollipop?
Sorry. You actually are, I think what you have done, you are using the order paper.
Oh,
And
yes.
the order paper takes you up to 50 because that is the only clause, the last clause that has amendment.
Oh,
Then
yes.
there are a few others which are behind. We do not have amendments, so therefore you don't need to put it in the order paper. The only areas that we put in the order paper are those ones with amendments.
Thank you. Well
So,
guided.
yeah, so the last three do not have any amendments, but quite a good observation, obviously,
Thank you.
because it's good when you notice that some members are following very keenly.
Yes.
So then we can proceed. We now, honorable members, I want to call the mover to move reporting.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Foreign Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2021, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Very well. So then I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Foreign Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2021, and its approval thereof with amendments. Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
Any as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Thank you. Chair. I thank you, the Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Foreign Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2021, and approved the same with amendments.
Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report, and I request Honorable Charles Kilonzo to second the motion for agreement with the report of the committee of the House, whole House.
The Honorable Kilonzo.
I second, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Honorable members, I direct that the question will be put at such other time that the matter will be set down for consideration. I direct that we move to the next business.
Order number 11, the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021, second reading.
Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this is a critical bill that seeks to update and streamline some provisions of the Irrigation Act of 2019, which, Mr. Speaker, you recall, was to make provisions for the development, management, and regulation of irrigation as part of supporting sustainable food security and socio-economic development. And Honorable Speaker, the House will recall that His Excellency the President has undertaken some specific pillars that are critical to ensuring the development of this country, as well as protecting people at the lower ends of the pyramid, the very vulnerable groups, by ensuring that people have sufficient food. Just this afternoon, members will recall that we just passed the NHIF bill, which anchors the health bit of human, the human beings. So you want to help the nation, but you also want the people to have enough food, adequate food, as part of the realization of the Article 43 rights that people should have adequate food. And to get adequate food, you then need to have adequate food production. And, Honorable Speaker, we know that 80% of the land mass of this country is either arid or semi-arid. And hence, for people living in these areas, if we are not going to change the way agriculture takes place by introducing irrigation methods, then we are going to have 80% of the landmass of this country unusable, and hence people who depend, which affects our food productivity, food production, and hence our food security. As a country, we have overdepended on rain-fed agriculture, and this is perhaps one of the problems why we, still, every time there's a small drought, we are running all over the world, announcing to the world that we are food scarce. I think it's just the other day we had a motion, about a week ago or 2 weeks, we had a motion here to discuss the disaster that will come because the rains are failing. Yet, with proper irrigation, we've seen countries in the deserts even having, becoming food, having surplus food. Honorable Speaker, one of the things I just picked in our recent trips educational trips abroad is Dubai as a country, or the UAE, is in the desert. They have a forest. But beyond that, they are now creating and starting rice plantations to supply the world with rice grown in the desert. Now, for them to even grow that, they have to import soil. We have the soil. All we don't have is the proper irrigation methods and mechanism, and this bill is trying to streamline the sector so that we can do better in terms of our irrigation. So the principal object of this bill is basically to amend the Irrigation Act of 2019 to expand the administration and management of irrigation matters by the National Irrigation Authority, and to ensure adoption of best practices in irrigation as well as what we call in sustainable development of the irrigation infrastructure and investment of the same and financing. The bill intends to consolidate the provision, the management and administration of land, both in national or public irrigation schemes, as well as the inter-county schemes for public use, and also to amend Section 13 of the Act with the aim of harmonizing the provisions of the Irrigation Act, the Water Act, and the Water Resources Management Rules, so that the three rules should have some level of consistency. This bill further seeks to amend Section 22 to make provisions for the financing of potential development of infrastructure for the development of irrigation, as well as how you finance the irrigation services and advisory support. I'm just highlighting a few things, because the rest is a very simple bill that we should be able to even dispense of with the members who are in this House. At Section 34 of the Act, again, the amendment seeks to empower the Cabinet Secretary to make some regulations, to make regulation to provide for basically the objects of the bill, which is development of irrigation, including infrastructure, water storage, and to provide for multi-agency consultation and coordination. Honorable Speaker, to streamline the management of the National Irrigation Authority, the bill also empowers the Cabinet Secretary to, with justification, remove a member of the board if the member conducts himself or herself in a manner that is undesirable as a director, or carries themselves in a way that puts the organization into disrepute. Again, the standard provisions that we have within the Leadership and Integrity Act, within the Constitution. So anyone who flouts the provisions of Chapter 6 of the Constitution, there will be now that provision, so long as they are members of the management of the National Irrigation Authority, for action to be taken. Again, this is for emphasis on matter, because we know it's already in the Constitution, but because people seem to forget the Constitution and look at the law that pertains to them, there's no harm in repeating some of these things for abundance of caution, as you say in your profession. I also note within the committee, and I'm sure the chair or vice chair of the committee will be taking us through, I've seen the work they've done, and I want to thank them for really having gone through this and having tabled a report earlier this month, especially knowing that this bill only came to the House not too long ago. But the committee took it upon themselves to look at it, and they are also making some suggestions on some amendments which I've looked through, and I'm in concurrence because I believe they are all intended to make the bill better. They are the ones who carried out the public participation and have introduced some of those things that are required to ensure that the intention of the bill, which is noble, is again to support what we all need in this country, which is to ensure that with or without rain, come rain, come shine, we shall have food in this country. This country has 582,000 square kilometers. There's absolutely no reason why we should be looking for food from outside the country just because we rely on only 20% of that land. Less than 100,000 square kilometers is what we use for agriculture. And the rest is left to, to God. If there's rain, let's have something. If there's no rain, then we are all struggling to look for food from other places. Yet we know that we have water, we can harness the water. Our rivers are flowing into the ocean. We have so much underground water. And just by harnessing all that water resource and converting it, we can be able to provide food. Honorable Speaker, if you recall, if you traveled from Nairobi going towards Nakuru, all that area from, Maimahiu, all the way to Nakuru, used to be dry land. When you go through there today, you will see it's all green. When you look at Naivasha, most of the horticultural products that are being consumed in Europe is all coming from Naivasha, courtesy of irrigation. Yet the whole of that area had been abandoned as rangeland. So if you go to Kieni and all those areas where the weather is so good, but the only difference is the water resource that's required to apply to the soil, which is so fertile, and obviously with modern technology, even the soil fertility can be sorted out. But you're able now to get food from those dry lands. If you look at Ukambani, if you look at Taita, those areas, we are now getting good produce from those dry land. So it's just a matter of refocusing as a nation in terms of what we want to do to ensure that the 45 million Kenyans who are currently living in Kenya and who are expected to grow perhaps to 70 in the next 20 years, that exponential growth of people, or those people, will find that we have put in place structures and systems to ensure they have enough food, not just for themselves, but for export. Because people will continue having food. And one of the things COVID has shown us is that it doesn't matter whether you're isolated. It does not matter what happens. Human beings will need to eat. So the future is dependent heavily on people who are able to provide food for themselves and for export. Because food will always be required. Technology will always be required. People will need to live in a house. So there are some things that even our youth should now be looking at. Because I see most of them finishing university. And all they're looking at is looking for white-collar jobs. Instead of now looking at how can I get into food production, efficient food production and processing, and making a business out of it, because people will always eat. And in most of the other countries, that's what is sustaining those economies, food production. And I think for us, at this point, if we can create the systems that are required to support irrigation, we would have gone one step in ensuring that this country can produce food for itself and for the neighborhood and for the commercial markets from the arid and semi-arid areas that the good Lord did bestow on this country. But we have beautiful weather, constant temperatures between day and night, which is good for food production. We don't have severe winters, we don't have severe summers. All we need is harness the fertility of our soils and the water that we have, and we have food produced. So this bill is basically trying to help, putting all that by streamlining the Irrigation Acts of 2019 to bring it up to speed and to respond to the current challenges so that Kenya can become a food secure country. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and ask the Honorable 𝙏𝙗𝙬𝙧, the Vice Chair of the committee, that has all these bigger mandates on water, environment, and natural resources, to second.
The member for North Horr, the Honorable 𝙏𝙗𝙬𝙧.
Thank you, the Leader Majority. Honorable Speaker, I beg to support the Irrigation Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support and second. Mr. Speaker, the Irrigation Act was assented to in the year 2019 to repeal the archaic Irrigation Act, Cap 247, laws of Kenya. As with other sectors, the irrigation sector was highly affected after 2010 Constitution was promulgated. As a result, a number of legislations had to be aligned with the new Constitution, in particular to conform and embrace devolution. Mr. Speaker, the Act of 2019 was meant to streamline the development, management, and regulation of irrigation and to support sustainable food security and socioeconomic development in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the Act outlines the respective roles of national and county government in facilitating the irrigation sector in our country. Honorable Speaker, the Act also embraced a multi-sectoral and participatory approach to irrigation development and management, and fully recognized private sector involvement, as well as other non-state actors in irrigation development and management for improved sustainability. Mr. Speaker, additionally, it strengthened and enhanced institutions such as many other institutions, e.g., formation of irrigation water user associations, umbrella water organizations, to give them autonomy, self-reliance, as well as proper governance structures and the necessary requisite legal status for them to enter into agreement with national government, county governments, private sector institutions, or any other institutions. So, Speaker, the Act has expanded the mandate of the National Irrigation Authority and provided for its board composition in line with principles of corporate governance. Honorable Speaker, though progressive, a piece of legislation that has brought about positive albeit gradual reforms in the irrigation sector, certain gaps and inconsistencies have been identified, which will ultimately require some minimum amendments in order to ensure effective and seamless implementation of the Act. Some of these areas of concerns are as follows. One, omission of the key terms from the definition, even though these terms have been widely referred to in various sections of the Act. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, is the lack of flexibility by appointing authority in terms of board appointments in order to meet the threshold of Article 6 of the Constitution and the Mongozo Code of Governance for State Corporations, as well as other governing regulations. Third, Mr. Speaker, is in need for harmonizations with provisions of the Water Act 2016 and related regulations, e.g. water resource regulations. Fourth, and the last one, Mr. Speaker, is the extension of the time for publications of regulations owing to extensive stakeholder consultation involved in this water subsector. Mr. Speaker, arising from this background, the Irrigation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021, which was published on 16 April 2021 and read a first time on 18th June 2021, the bill was thereafter committed to the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources pursuant to National Standing Order 127. Mr. Speaker, the principle of the bill is to amend the Irrigation Act to expand the administration and management of irrigation matters in Kenya. To achieve this expansion, Mr. Speaker, the bill seeks to amend various sections of the Act to ensure adoption of best practices in irrigation, as well as to enhance sustainable development of irrigation infrastructure, investment, and financing. Honorable Speaker, following a placement of an advert in the print media on 11 June 2021, requesting for comments on the bill from members of the public and stakeholders pursuant to Article 118, 1B of the Constitution and Standing Order 127.3, the committee received a memorandum from the Council of Governors. Honorable Speaker, the committee also invited the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation for a meeting on the bill, which was held on Wednesday, 21st July 2021, at Windsor Golf Hotel and Country Club. The outcome of the deliberations with the ministry and stakeholders, proposed amendments to the bill have been taken into account while determining the final proposed amendment as contained in the committee's report. Honorable Speaker, the committee will be proposing amendments to the bill during the Committee of the Whole House to clean up the Act to avoid inconsistencies such as in the use of the word irrigation project to irrigation schemes as proposed in the bill. Further, Mr. Speaker, the committee will be proposing to amend the qualification of the chairperson of the board as well as the composition of the membership of the board, among other areas, to enhance best practices in the irrigation sector. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, we note there exist issues in the administration of the board, particularly as regards to the structure of management of the organization. As a committee, Mr. Speaker, in consultation with the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, we will have proposed amendments to rectify the issue, especially as it relates to the titling of the Chief Executive Officer of the National Irrigation Authority, which means the proposed should be renamed as Director General. However, Mr. Speaker, we know the constraint of Standing Order 133.5 that provides that amendment should not necessarily expand the scope of the bill. In this regard, we implore that the Leader of Majority considers the proposed amendment in the preparation of the 32nd Law Institutions Amendment Bill, which will be forthcoming in the near future. Mr. Speaker, sir, finally, on behalf of the committee, I want to thank the office of the clerk and the speaker for the logistical support and technical support that accorded us during our sittings as we considered this bill. As a committee, we further wish to thank all the stakeholders who participated in the consideration of this bill. Finally, I wish to express my appreciation to my colleagues who sat long hours to ensure that this bill becomes a reality. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I beg support.
Honorable members, allow me then to propose that the Irrigation Amendments Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2021 be now read a second time. I see interest from the Honorable Ole Sankok.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this bill. Honorable Speaker, and I thank the Leader of Majority and the members of that committee because this is a very important bill, considering, Honorable Speaker, that we have our President Big Four agenda. Among the Big Four agenda is what we have just discussed on the health bill, on the universal health care, and now we are in the second pillar of the Big Four agenda, food security, which of course will rely on our ability to irrigate our land, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, 80% of our land mass is either arid or semi-arid, and these people need food. Where does the food come from? It is from the 20% of the land mass of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, that is a bigger burden than the 20%. To carry 80% is huge.